And now, you're tuned into RBLR, the home of Tampa Bay's Reveler Sports.
Hey everyone, welcome back to your RBLR Rays show. I'm Ben, with me is Zach. How's it going, Zach? Good morning.
It is going well. Good morning, Ben. To keep you guys in touch with the weather in South Carolina, it is a little bit rainy out today. It's been overcast for most of the day today, but hopefully it's going to warm up today for when I potentially go golfing later in the afternoon.
Just hoping for the best up there.
Hoping and praying.
Yeah.
That's
all we really need. A lot of things happened this week. Some cool, some not that cool. We had Rasmussen just kind of out of nowhere. He's down to the 60-day IL with a flexor strain. He said he thinks he'll avoid Tommy John surgery because it feels different than the other two times that he had to get Tommy John. So we'll see. Just going to the 60-day right away is a really weird thing because usually they don't escalate it that fast, but I'm sure they have their reasons. And we also lost Garrett Clevenger to a torn ACL, which sucks. That's actually his second time doing that too. So
yeah, it's wild.
Yeah, it is what it is. ACL injuries with pitchers are pretty weird and uncommon, but
yeah. Well, it makes sense as to why, a lot of teams, and I think the Rays are part of this too, to tell their pitchers don't get involved in plays. Like, just don't do it, because you already put so much strain on your body with your pitching motion. Getting involved and putting your body in weird spots, and when you're fielding a baseball or when you're in the way of a runner, just don't do it. And I mean, it was not a good pickoff. Like, that whole rundown was like, I don't feel like that was executed the way it should have been executed. But anyway, just stay on the mound. And it was the same thing that McClanahan did. I think that was it. I don't know if it was the next day or if it was the day before. I can't remember, but he went to field a grounder and slipped. And I'm like, that's it. It's over. Season's done. Season's over. He slipped and tore the ACL, tried to get that ground ball, but he was fine. But I'm just going to just say, let's just have all the Rays pitchers. Can we just put a little like dog fence around the mound and they can just stay there? Like, if it comes to you on the mound and you want to flip it to first, that's fine. But you're not allowed to move off the mound. You stay there and that's all you do.
Yeah, that's that and get some bubble wrap, and that's all we really need.
Yep.
But yeah, to kind of cope with those losses, the Rays did sign Jake Diekman, which is really cool. I've kind of wanted that to happen for a little while. And they added Chris Muller to the 40-man roster. So some interesting arms they've added, and I'm sure we'll get into that. But not too bad of a week. I know they dropped the series to Baltimore, but they did win the series against the Yankees at home since the last time we recorded. And they split the first two of a 4-game series here. We're recording Saturday morning. So, I mean, it's pretty 500-ish week, but lots of really good stuff and some fun stuff to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely playing high levels of competition. Even if the Yankees aren't, as good of a team as they have been in the past, they definitely aren't. They still have high-end talent on the team, and so there's still not going to be, there's still not going to be easy outings. And the Orioles are just good. I think I was pretty mid on them to start the year. I thought they needed another year. I thought they didn't make enough adjustments, and I still think that it'll be interesting to see how they perform later in the year. I think they're, because of their youth, are very set up to perform well at the beginning of the season. I'm very curious to see how they perform in July and August when you get to the dog days and you really start to see the consistency, how that plays. Be interesting to see. But they're a good team. There's nothing, when you play a good team on the road, you may lose the series. That's just going to happen. Going on the road to face a really good team, and they were close games. I tweeted after the series, both teams allowed 6 runs over the entire Baltimore series, and that's it, 6 runs. So these were games that were decided by inches, and the Rays didn't, Yanni grounded into a double play 3 times one game. You're not going to win them all, and they're still. And I would be concerned if there was any point where they were not being competitive or not putting runners in scoring position. That's when, to me, you get concerned. But if they're putting runners in scoring position and the games are competitive and you're just missing by a couple of inches, that's gonna return to the mean at some point in the season. So nothing to be overly concerned about. Just frustrating in the moment because you'd like to get those wins.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they kind of just had really bad BABIP luck. Their approach was still good. They're not striking out a ton. Even in this New York series here, they're hitting the ball well. And if you continue to do that and you're consistent in your approach, you're going to be fine. So not really too worried about that. But something, speaking of consistency in approach, here at RBLR Sports, we are consistent in our approach to deliver some kind of content to you all. So make sure you're just liking, subscribing, sharing, and that just helps us put together more great, maybe sometimes not great stuff, depending on if you're a Tampa Bay sports fan or not. But if you're a fan of Tampa Bay sports, you like us. So thank you all for making sure you like, subscribe, share, and do all that stuff. Follow us on our social media thingies and all that.
Sharing is caring.
Yes. But yeah, anyways, to that I mean, we kind of had some bad like BABIP luck in the last home series against New York, but then they
Yeah.
kind of capped it off with a fun walk-off win, and Kermit the Fraud got roughed up in that final game, and just yeah, that was really fun. I was at the Trop, not at the final game, but the one that they dropped, and
Mhm.
yeah, it's still just such a fun series. Like that was awesome.
Yeah, it is always so gratifying to get to Garrett Cole. And, as much as, we make fun of him, and I'm going to call him Kermit the Fraud every time we score a run off of him for the rest of the year. That's just how it's going to be. However, the reason why it's fun to make fun of him is because he's really good. And he's really good most of the time. And so whenever you get to him, it does feel like an accomplishment. It's the way that teams feel when they get to McClanahan. And that's why, and not to take to break to talk about how good McClanahan is, but like he hasn't had a game like that this year yet. He like even his bad games are like 2 to 3 runs, which you're going to be able to recover from, and that's all you can really ask from your ace. And for the most part, I mean, even and like last night was a case of doing what an ace does, which as much as it was great to get to him and run up his pitch count and get him out in the 5th inning, he only allowed 2 runs over the course of that outing, and he was in trouble a lot in that outing. And to only give up 2 solo home runs as being the only damage done against him, it just shows that he's a good pitcher. And so when you do get to him like we did in the game on the 7th, like that's a huge win. It's super fun way to end the game as well. It's just a fun game, really fun atmosphere to watch. I think the Trop is. I hope we are starting to get over the hump of people saying the Trop sucks and Rays fans suck, because if you watch those games and you see the atmosphere, like I mean, it's a good place. It's a great place to go watch baseball, and the fans are really starting to come out, which is really exciting.
Oh yeah, like if you're at the Trop for like a game where it's like at least half full, it's amazing. Like it's so loud, and you can
Mm-hmm.
feel it like bouncing, and the sound systems, the lighting systems, like everything's
Mm-hmm.
super upgraded and modern. Um yeah, people that hate the Trop have never been there. So
Yeah,
I mean, the field is ugly. It's not pretty. Um
it's a turf field.
that the outside is not pretty either, but
No,
it doesn't, like, who cares? Like if it's fun, it's fun. Like
it's fun.
everybody's a little ugly, so you can't judge the Trop. So
That's a good
yeah,
point. It's a good point.
yeah, it's a great place to watch a game, and it's a great place to beat the Yankees 2-1 in that series.
The
So
Trop has a
just
great personality.
yeah,
Let's just put it that way.
it definitely does. And I know you talked about McClanahan a little bit earlier. He started game 1 in Baltimore where they dropped that series 2-1, but they ended up winning that first game. Defense was really strong, and McClanahan, he was on cruise control outside of like 1 inning where he had like a couple of walks, but that was it. Like he was really solid outside of that 1 inning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I'm kind of still waiting for his like lockdown 10
Yeah.
strikeout, 12 strikeout, 7 inning performance that he'll give. I'm just kind of like waiting for one of those, because I love a 12 strikeout, 7 inning performance. It's one of my favorite things in baseball, and we might get it today. Who knows? It'd be really fun if we get it today. It would be awesome if we could get it today. But I'm still waiting on that. But really, all of his outings have been super solid. And he's playing himself back into the Cy Young. I mean, you have to say it, he's playing himself back into the Cy Young conversation. There's some pitchers who are having a really good start to the season this year, but I think McClanahan is up there with the Sonny Gray is I think probably he's probably the leader in the clubhouse right now. But like McClanahan is up there, and if he continues to be consistent like this throughout the season, he's going to be in that conversation again. And don't be surprised if he is deep in the conversations when we get to the end of the season, because he's just very consistent, and that's something that not a lot of pitchers can say.
No, and speaking on that, what you said earlier about him not giving up a ton of runs each start, like he hasn't given up more than 2 runs in a game since September 25th of last year.
Wow,
So when he gave up
that's a
4 runs
crazy
against
stat.
Toronto. Yeah, and that was on a weird BABIP game too. So like
That was a weird. I
he's
remember that game. That was a
yeah.
weird game.
Yeah, no, he's been great. I expect him to be really good today. I'm really excited about that. He's just, and I noticed that when runners are in scoring position, he like gets even better. Like he throws his fastball 2 miles an hour harder. It's really cool. Just grip it and rip it, and he
Mhm.
really trusts that fastball, and he should because it took a huge step forward in like in Stuff Plus this year, and he did that against Baltimore. Like he once he got into some trouble, he buckled down, didn't really go for the swing and miss, and he just pounded the fastball up in the zone, and he gets really good results. And he's kind of a ground ball pitcher, so I wouldn't be surprised if Siri doesn't start today. And if they kind of
Yeah.
go with like a Randy Margot,
Mm.
um, somebody playing right field, maybe even Harold. Honestly,
Mm.
like a Shane McClanahan start is one where I feel comfortable with Siri not out there and Harold in right field.
Yeah, I feel like the benefit of having Shane start is you can kind of say, throw defense out the window. What's our best lineup from an offense standpoint? We're going to put that lineup in the field and not worry about it because as long as the infield defense is strong, which you can put your best lineup out there and it's still going to be strong infield defense. But we can put a B plus or a B minus outfield out there because we know that we can trust Shane to give up weak contact or to be giving up. If it's going to be hard contact, it's going to be on the ground in the infield, and we have the guys to handle that. So you can really be aggressive with the lineup decision. And I think it's really cool to see how Kevin Cash trusts Shane McClanahan enough to do that. And I think it's got to also instill some confidence in him too. Like, hey, we trust you because we believe that you don't need to have the best center fielder in baseball out there to in order for you to get good results from a run prevention standpoint. And Siri is such a great weapon to be able to pull out of the toolbox late in the game, just be able to throw him in there when you need him, like late in the game to do some base stealing or to have a spot, a pinch hit where he can bunt and try to get on base. He's a great weapon to have to be able to pull out of the dugout. So I wouldn't be surprised if you're right and they start Margot in front of him.
Yeah, definitely. And speaking of McClanahan, we did have a question from a listener at Avery Evans 30 on Twitter. He said, for the future of the team, would you rather lock up Shane or Randy if you could only have one? And then he kind of has a follow-up question to that, but we'll do that question first. Shane or Randy if you could only have one?
That is a really hard question. I mean, to be honest with you, after the way this season has gone, it has to be Shane because like pitching is just having good, consistent pitching that can stay healthy, which I mean, Shane hasn't stayed healthy his whole career, but he's staying healthy right now. Knock on wood, that he stays healthy. But like, that's just so valuable. So I mean, I would be hurt if we win. I hope we never lose Shane, but if we do ever do, it's going to hurt, especially when as well as he's playing right now. So I would rather keep Shane.
Yeah, I think I'm leaning that way. Honestly, I'd kind of say neither just because he does have the Tommy John history and that makes me a little nervous, but a lot of guys have Tommy John history at this point, and the Rays have shown that the guys that they draft and they develop, they're not really like Tommy John victims. Like I know it sounds kind of weird saying that because of all the players they've had gone down recently, but Glasnow, Rasmussen, Springs, who else has been Kittredge, like all these
Kittredge.
guys were not drafted and signed and developed by the Rays. They came from outside of the organization, and you can't really control how other teams are developing their pitchers. So if I really had to pick, like you had a gun to my head, I would say Shane, but I'd say neither, just because they're both under contract or under team control still for like 5 more years, I think, of McClanahan, and then I think 4 more years of Randy. So um, they'll, yeah, I don't really see a need for that. But yeah, anyways, the follow up question is, would you like to see, or could we see a 6-man rotation, and would that be beneficial at all?
I mean, could we see it? Maybe. I don't know that that's like I don't think that's necessarily the best use of the arms that we have. I feel like it's better to stay with the 5-man rotation, but give those arms less innings to pitch when they're out there. However we're doing that. Like I don't really. I don't think that adjusting the way that they go about doing their business with a 6-man rotation is beneficial. Like I don't think that like disrupting Shane's rhythm and like the way that he does like goes about his business and comes in every 5 days to start is gonna be beneficial. I don't think that's really gonna help. I mean I understand the idea of like wanting to conserve innings, but I think there's other ways you can do that. And I think especially if you have guys like McClanahan and Eflin who have are in their or can kind of in their groove of like how they're how they're preparing for a start to then add a day to that and maybe throw them out of whack. I don't think is the best way to go about it.
No, I don't think so either. I mean, I'm sure they're considering that or something, but it really takes away like your flexibility in your bullpen if you have to carry 6 starting pitchers when you could carry like 5 plus a couple bulk guys and you can mix and
Yeah,
match and get better matchups and stuff. That kind of seems more like what they would do just based on what they've done in the minor leagues for like the past like 5 or 6 years. So we'll see. I'm interested in definitely like starters only going 2 times through an order anyways, just because they get really most of that like 90% of starters are really, really bad third time through the order. So there's really no point in keeping them out there anyways. So maybe we'll see. We also have another kind of question related from at Dipper Pine 777. He asked out of Glasnow, Chirinos, Fleming, and Patino, who do you think the Rays see the most value in retaining? Just to chop off 2 names already, Patino and Fleming are still under team control for like 5 more years each,
yeah,
so there's really like no need to make a decision anytime soon. But after next year, Glasnow and Yanni will both be not under team control. So out of
yeah.
those two, who do you think the Rays are more likely to retain?
Um, if the question is who they're more likely to retain, the answer is probably Yanni because
Yeah.
he's going to be so much cheaper. Um, the more I mean, Tyler's more valuable, but the question is, can he stay healthy? I mean, the other news piece that happened this week, I don't know if we
Oh,
mentioned it
right.
earlier, was that Tyler had a minor setback that wasn't. Of course, Twitter overreacted and thought the season was over because he had has going to have Tommy John again, and he was fine. He just needed to take a break, and they're going to be very very careful with him as they should be. But like the fact that you kind of like to me, Tyler Glasnow is like a glass cannon. When he's firing, he's maybe the best. He can be the best pitcher in baseball. The problem is like his ability to stay healthy is just not there. And I mean, I've seen everything from, hey, do we need to change his mechanics, or do we need to change his routine? Like, what do we need to do to fix this? And I don't know. And I'm sure the Rays are looking at all that and trying to decide, like, is there something we can do to help him? And I'm sure that if they figure something out, I'm sure they'll do it. But right now, I mean, you have to think Yanni is the one that is more likely, just because, like, how many? I mean, they can probably sign him to a pretty team friendly deal because he has an injury history, and I think he's a valuable arm that I'd like to keep around. But like, I don't think teams are going to be like headhunting him unless he like has a phenomenal second half of the year, which is possible, but not super likely.
No, I think he has more value like to the Rays than he would to another team just because of the familiarity and
Yeah,
it's yeah. I mean, Glasnow, his injury stuff though, it's a fluke oblique thing from this spring that, is pretty much fine now. He just needs like 2 more weeks and he's fine. But his Tommy John thing, he was pitching on a torn ligament since like, not a torn, a failing ligament since like 2017, wasn't addressed when he was with Pittsburgh for whatever
mm,
reason. And so then the Rays have to kind of carry that burden of the Tommy John thing when it's really not their fault. And then, of course, he only had to get Tommy John because of the sticky stuff crackdown, and he had to change his grip. So, um, it's a really unfortunate series of events there. But I would rather retain Glass now. I think once he comes out of this oblique thing, I don't really see a reason why you shouldn't, other than like the Tommy John history. But again, that's not even the Rays' fault. So Pittsburgh has to kind of, and same with Shane Baz. Like
yeah,
Pittsburgh, what are you doing with your pitchers? Like you can't. It's crazy. Like there's
yeah.
a reason why Taj Bradley was pitching like close to or under like 4 innings a game like per start for his first 2 years as a professional baseball player. Like you can't just do what these organizations are doing and expect it to be sustainable. Like the Rays model, like even Snell was kind of another one who, he was part of the team already when Snyder got here, but since Snyder got here, they haven't had like many like pitcher Tommy John things. I mean, Brendan McKay was a unique case because he's kind of trying to do a two-way thing, but Colby White is the only one I can think of off the top of my head, and that one kind of seemed like it was out of nowhere too, because he was not, I don't want to say relatively new at pitching, but he was relatively new in that kind of role. So
Yeah.
yeah, it is what it is. There weren't a ton of miles on his arm to begin with, so
Well, and
it's weird.
Yeah, and I you make a really good point, and it kind of does go to something that kind of gets on my nerves is the way that you get, I know I should never listen to the Tom can reply guys, but when you go into those, when you see how people react to the Rays injuries, the thing that you keep hearing is that the Rays are doing something that is hurting their pitchers, and that it's the Rays' fault. When, like you said, when you look at where they're coming from, it's a way more consistent issue. Like the fact that Tyler was allowed to just pitch through that kind of an injury, and they just said, just keep going, you're fine. Like that to me is a huge issue. Like, how is that happening? And the same thing with Shane Baz. Like, what's going on? And like, I think that it's just unfortunate because the Rays are giving these players a second chance and trying to improve their careers. And then when they get the consequences from the way that other teams have treated them throughout their organizations, it is somehow like a character assassination of the Rays. It becomes a character assassination of the Rays because they're the team that they were on when they got hurt, but they're not the team that built because a lot of these injuries, like when you look at Tommy John and these other injuries that happen, it's not like you throw one bad pitch in your arm. It's not. It builds up to a point where it happens, and it usually comes from being used improperly. So that goes back to where they started, and when people then just assume that it's the Rays' fault and the Rays are doing something that's hurting their pitchers, that kind of gets on my nerves because it feels like to me it's ignorance, first of all, and it's just unnecessary character assassination and beating down on an already unfortunate situation. It's just that's my soapbox on that, but that just kind of gets on my nerves.
Yeah, no, I feel the same way. It's like Tommy John is something that's like 90% of the time it's years in the making. So I mean, and also with Drew Rasmussen, like he's had it twice before, so
Yeah.
you kind of have to. You're assuming that risk.
Yeah.
Obviously, they know that when they traded for him because they originally drafted him out of college in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it is what it is.
You
can't control it, but you can control how you react to it and how much money you spend on shop.rblrsports.com. You can head on over and use promo code Flappy for 10% off of everything. Whether it's a Rays shirt, a Bucks, a Lightning shirt, a Rowdy shirt, just buy something. It's that money goes directly to, I don't know. I don't know what I guess I brushed my teeth a little too long today. I brushed my teeth for like 5 minutes, so I definitely need more money for toothpaste and stuff. So they
that's
turned out
important.
pretty
Dental
good.
Hygiene is important. It looks fantastic.
I take a lot of pride in my teeth. My dentist told me I really just have to come back like once a year. Like she was like, yeah, you're good. Don't worry about the twice a year thing. Oh yeah, we also give money to children. I know the Red Sox love to lose this year, and you know that when the Red Sox win, kids eat free at whatever stupid chain restaurant they love up there in Boston. So when you give money to us, the children are it helps the children.
My fur children will eat. I don't have any children, but you those of you who have tuned into the broadcast have seen the fur children, and they will eat well. So we appreciate that.
Yes. But yeah, I think I'm done being angry about the Tommy John stuff, the injury stuff that's not really their fault, but somehow gets blamed on them.
That's what it is.
Anything? I mean, we kind of jumped around between the first New York series and this Baltimore series. Anything else from Baltimore? Other than bad luck?
Not really. It's just kind of like whatever. I mean, I will say, I was going to. I had a rant planned about how the bullpen is really not that big of an issue. All the runs given up in the series were by starters, quote unquote. I kind of got that rant taken out of me last night, but I do still think it's not as big of a problem as some people are making it out to be. But I now kind of have to say that it is a bit of an issue. The bullpen is a bit of an issue, but it's not as big of an issue as some people are making it out to be. The Baltimore series was not the fault of the bullpen. Last night was kind of the fault of the bullpen, but that we can get to that later.
Yeah, just the last thing on that Baltimore series, Chase Anderson, thank you
Mm,
for eating so many innings and then just getting DFA'd. Appreciate it. Have fun in Colorado. Oh, also, the Rays did claim Zach Littell off waivers. He was
mhm,
DFA'd by the Red Sox. Um, yeah, pretty good stuff. Kind of platoon neutral, which is cool because they have. I feel like they have a couple, maybe a few too many specialists in the bullpen. Actually, not a few too many, but
mm,
just you know
yeah.
um, yeah, they've got a lot of guys who it's like, oh, I don't really want him to pitch against opposite-handed batters, but we'll see what Littell does. I think he'll be added to the roster today. I kind of expect Trevor Kelly to be optioned, just because
Hmm.
he he pitched yesterday and they
Yeah.
have options, so why not just
Hmm.
get a fresh arm in there?
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of bullpen shuffling. So a couple lottery tickets now they got in the bullpen with Diekman and Chris Muller's not really a lottery ticket, but I do like his splitter. I think that could be kind of fun. And Littell, who knows? He was pretty good a couple of years ago in San Francisco, so
Yeah,
maybe they
he was. I
figure
remember
something
because
out.
I remembered his name, and I was trying to remember where I heard from, and it was from San Francisco.
Yeah, he's pretty cool. But yeah, getting onto this New York series here, or not New York series, this Rays series against New York because the Yankees are not a very good team, but they somehow got a win yesterday. But that first game was really fun. We got the blowout thanks
Hmm.
to Rasmussen and Josh Lowe. Um, Rasmussen pounding the zone. He threw 76 pitches, 59% for strikes, and
Hmm.
he maintained a 78% zone contact rate, which is elite. Anything under 80 is really good.
Oh yeah.
Um, yeah, so great stuff from him. And Josh Lowe had 300-mile-an-hour batted balls. Just good stuff.
He is just, I mean, he is becoming everything we ever could have hoped he could be. Like
Yeah.
he like and everything we could have like, you know, everything that you could have projected him out as, he is getting there. And it's just like I'm loving every second of the Josh Lowe experience. Um Literally just cannot wait for his every at bat. I'm excited for every time he comes up to the plate. I'm to the point now where I'm like, oh wait, is Josh Logue? Is he? Wait, where are we in the order? Is he coming? Oh, he's coming up soon, which is great, except for when he gets taken
Yeah.
out. But yeah, I'm excited for every plate appearance that he has.
Yeah, me too. It's really like the matchups he's been in have been amazing. Um and he's really just confident and it's been really great to see him kind of thrive. And he was really good. He almost played the hero last night with his 3-run go-ahead home run. Unfortunately, they couldn't hold on to that one, but yeah, I mean, that was still a pretty fun game, pretty back and forth. Neil on the radio this series has been
Hmm.
really like anti-Yankee, calling Yankee Stadium Williamsport East,
Oof,
and just making like it's great to hear. Just
so
everything he's saying
love it.
has been really great. You can tell he does not like the Yankees.
BA has been kind of on a very similar tear on the telecast. There's definitely some displeasure after that Rizzo home run in the first inning. He was not, and there was, I think no one was pleased with that. Because I mean, and when you go and like every time there's a home run hit to that short porch, I'm just refreshing the Would It Dong page on Twitter to see if
Yeah,
I'm justified. And we were in like, was it 4 other stadiums that would have gone at it? And I don't know that I believe that. Like that was a short porch home run. Like I was, ugh, it's just so annoying. And I mean, I
yeah,
feel
they
like,
had
yeah,
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it was it. You're 100% right. It was a good game. It was a very entertaining. Like if you're wanting to just watch an entertaining baseball game, that was an entertaining baseball game. 100%. It had the lead changes. It had the hero moments, the comeback moments. It was a great baseball game to watch for sure.
Yeah, and I just hate that the Yankees, they have 2 home runs off of pop flies that were like 340 and 350 feet each that are just
Hmm.
terrible, not even close. And then Kevin Kelly's stuff has been amazing. He's locating it well, but he gives up 2 bloop hits and a ground ball that was really poorly hit, but
Hmm.
at nobody. The walk in the 8th inning was probably like more of a big deal, but also not really because it's Aaron Judge. And then yeah, I mean, I'm not really mad about the go-ahead rally that they had with all those singles because those were all such poorly hit balls.
Yeah.
The walk, it is what it is. Obviously, you want to attack the zone with Aaron Judge because you can't just pitch scared to him. But yeah, he kind of lost his command for a batter, which sucks because he really didn't do anything wrong that first inning that he was in. It was just okay, an 80-mile-an-hour bloop hit it, and then like whatever it was, like a 91 mile-an-hour ground ball at a horrible launch angle. So
Yeah.
Oh well.
But maybe
That's
he
baseball.
shouldn't have been out there to start the 8th inning against the top of the lineup after he already had a difficult inning the previous inning. That's just my opinion.
I was quite literally stunned when we came out of the break and he was back out there. I was just sitting there like, why? Like, what's the reason? You knew you were gonna, like, they were planning to, like, I'm not a big fan of if you're planning to take a reliever out, like one guy in, especially if they're guys that can do damage and you're going to go to a top end reliever, just put the top end reliever in. Just put in Jason Adam. Let him throw that first pitch changeup to Gleyber Torres to get situated instead of throwing it to Anthony Rizzo, who punishes it. I'm not a big fan of that decision. And I don't think, and obviously Cash is not a bad manager for making one decision I disagree with, but I just don't I don't understand why you have an inning where you have a reliever who even though he wasn't doing, like you said, he wasn't doing anything wrong, but he did get hit around a little bit, and then to put him back out there against the top of the lineup, and I will, and the walk isn't, and again, like the walk to Aaron Judge, he did it like it was like I think it was the 2-2 pitch to Judge where he threw his slider just right off the zone. Like that could have been called a strike. So he did a good job. But like I just feel like you set yourself up then to then have Jason Adam come in the middle of the inning and come in cold and be having to face Rizzo with a man on. I just don't understand the mindset. I don't understand the reasoning behind that. That's what Jason Adam is for. Like that's why we have him on this team, because he's the guy who can come in and get the toughest part of the lineup. Like I was anticipating using Jason Adam because you were going to face the top of their order there. I was anticipating Jason Adam coming out and facing the top of their order, and instead you put Trevor Kelly out there. He walks Judge, and then now we're in a situation where they can have a go ahead home run. And I'm not really. I think I don't know if he was expecting that to not end up where it did, or if he was just trying to steal a strike on the first pitch. I don't really like it. It is what it is. Anthony Rizzo is a good hitter, and that was unfortunately not a short porch home run. He hit that pretty well, but I don't know. To me, it was just kind of a frustrating sequence there. I didn't feel like that was necessarily the best way to play it, but maybe that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I think they were trying to avoid having to use Adam for a multiple inning save. Because I mean, who's going to come in after Jason Adam? It's not like nobody was going to come in a 1-run game in New York in the bottom of the ninth.
Yeah.
Other than it was probably going to be Kelly's game until he ran into trouble again, which he did with the leadoff walk, and then Jason Adam hung a changeup. He got Anthony Rizzo. I looked it up in the previous series, 0 for 2 with a couple really poor fly balls.
Yeah.
So the matchup was good. Just unfortunately hung a changeup, and
yeah.
I have no problem with Kevin Kelly going back out there. Like you can't just shy away from players when they're playing well just because the results are bad. Then we wouldn't have most of the bullpen guys that we have now. Like Fairbanks would no longer be on this team. Like all these guys struggled a little bit when they first came on. He's a rookie, Rule 5 pick. I know he's been roughed up a little bit lately, but he's still like second or third on the team in pitching plus over the last 3 weeks. So I trust him more than other than Jason Adam, and we might have just lost our screens here. I don't know.
Can you hear me still?
Yeah. Am I here? Okay. Eureka's here.
I think I'm here.
There you go. Just kidding. Yeah. Everybody's here.
Awesome.
Okay.
Everybody's
here. Yeah. Can you hear us? Okay.
Can you hear me?
But yeah, it is what it is. Unfortunate that Jason Adam hung a changeup.
Yeah,
he normally doesn't do that, so it's not. Yeah.
I mean, I think we could. I mean, to me, like I could have even seen Poche going out, because like I wouldn't put Poche out there in the 9th inning versus Gleyber Torres, Aaron Judge, and Anthony Rizzo, but I probably would have been more okay with the middle of their lineup. Like the back to middle half of their lineup, letting Poche go out there in the bottom of the 9th. I would have been like okay with that, because they don't have Fairbanks, and I don't know. It was a very difficult situation for Kevin Cash to be put in, because you have 2 innings left and you have a 1-run lead, it was a very difficult position for him to be put in. So that's definitely it's definitely a tough decision.
Well, the best thing they could have done was just Pete Fairbanks don't get hurt. I mean, that would have made the decision a lot better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have
I
we
think
heard anything
maybe
about him?
he pitched fine last night in Durham. I guess I could have mentioned that earlier.
I didn't
I
even
was going to do
notice.
injury stuff later, but no, he had a rehab inning, totally fine. Stuff was good,
Okay.
couple wild
Good.
pitches, so seems on par. But yeah, no, he just needs to hurry up and come back, I guess, because they're
Please.
running out of they like Jason Adam was going to finish that game. It just was a matter of when is he coming in. So
Yeah.
it sucks, but it is what it is. I think Poche might have. It would have been interesting if they would have decided to give Poche the opportunity to close it out, because they did have, like after those guys, it would have been Bowers and Volpe, and I feel like Bowers would be a pretty easy out for Poche because
Yeah.
lefty on lefty, but also Bader too, and you don't want to like Harrison
Well,
Bader facing a left-handed batter. So it would have been Jason Adam the game for the rest of the game, but we didn't get that much of it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
With the lead.
Yeah. I mean, I guess like, and maybe this is just ice. Like, I don't know, when I saw Trevor Kelly, when they flashed to the bullpen during that inning, and Kelly and Poche were both warming. So to me, it was like, okay, to me, it was like, well, if Poche is going to come in this game anyway, like, I don't know. You're probably right, and I'm just frustrated, but I don't know.
Yeah, well, something that wasn't frustrating was JLowe's performance this week. He was tied with Luke Raley for 0.4 F4 on the team. So both those guys led the team. I kind of want to do Luke Raley because he had a higher WRC plus and a little bit better in the field, but it is a bat of the week and not a glove of the week. So JLowe, with his 3 home runs and 210 WRC plus, was my bat of the week this week.
He's been fantastic. He's, like we said, he's been maturing into the player we always thought he was going to be, or hoped he could be. Hope, like, this is, to me, he is playing far above my expectations for this season. I was hoping for like a 270 batting average, 500 slugging, like a 850 OPS, and I would have been floored. I'd have been like, this is great. This is what we need. And he is cementing himself as like part of this young core of this team. And that's just super exciting to see.
Yeah, he's honestly someone I could see them extending before Randy or McClanahan, maybe on like the same level of like Paredes, where they're on like the fringe of the core.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, they would be out of team control in like age 28 or 29 season, and like Randy's still under team control through like age 31. So yeah, those JLowe and Paredes would be, I mean, especially as the way this year has gone, JLowe is definitely up there for me for a contract extension.
100%. It very much. I think Brandon Lau's another good comp. Of like, that's the kind of contract contention we could be seeing, and I would love to see it.
That would be great. I mean, it's kind of bittersweet here, but my arm of the week, Drew Rasmussen, he bullied the Yankees for 12 2/3 inning this week between his 2 starts, and he honestly would have gone longer, but he pulled himself from his last start because he started to kind of feel that nerve, like not tingling feeling, but like, or it wasn't even pain or discomfort either. He just said he felt like a nerve type of like feeling in his arm. But he had 13 strikeouts, 2 walks, and half a win above replacement on Fangraphs WAR. That's more than double the next closest, who was surprisingly Jalen Beeks. Was pretty good. I mean, he's been throwing a lot of strikes, which is cool. He definitely figured things out in the last series against the Yankees at home. Like, I was at that Saturday game when he got back-to-back strikeouts to get out of a jam, and he figured it out.
That was fun
really
to watch.
cool to see that. He was amped up. So yeah, but anyways, he wasn't a pitcher of the week. Drew Rasmussen was, for sure.
Yeah, Drew has been such a, I think, with Springs being hurt, I mean, as good as consistent as Shane has been, I think Drew was really pushing him for like, who's the best pitcher and the most dangerous arm on the staff. Drew was just electric out there in his last start, and it was really painful to hear. I mean, I was like, why isn't he going out there for the 8th? Let's get a complete game. And of course now we know why, but it was, he's been so much fun to watch. We can hope that this situation will not be as bad as it kind of sounds, and maybe we see him August, September, and we can get him for the postseason. Even if he was like a 3-inning guy that we use in the middle of games, like that would be a fantastic weapon to go along with like a Shane, McClanahan, Glasnow, Eflin starting rotation for the playoffs. If you can have Drew Rasmussen there as like a 3-4 inning guy, super, super valuable arm to have. So maybe we could see him come back for that.
Absolutely. I mean, it's kind of a career defining moment for him right now because Johnny Venters, I think, is the only guy that I can remember that has come back from 3 Tommy John surgeries to pitch again in the majors. So if he can avoid surgery, which he said he thinks he will, that's great. But if he does not, that he might not pitch again.
Which
so
sucks,
it's kind of weird to say that. I don't want to get ahead of it, but that's just the reality of guys who get Tommy John surgery more than twice. So
it's a tough situation, but we can hope for the best. And we hope that, he definitely, I'm sure he knows his body. So maybe hopefully he's right. And, I think they probably put him on the 60-day IL just to kind of tell him like, don't push yourself or anything. Just rest what you need to do, get the rest you need, do the recovery. And we'll see you when we see you.
Yeah, definitely. And speaking of injuries, Wander Franco, he kind of had his little weird neck thing, but he seems fine. I know he didn't have a great game yesterday, but they wouldn't roll him out there if he was hurt. And he's pretty good about like telling them when he's hurt. So not really concerned about him. I think he'll play today and then probably get off on Sunday because they have the off day Monday and they like to double up the days off for Wander. That's what they've done all year. So I think that's what they'll probably do. We'll see. Sean Armstrong pitched to some batters in extended spring training. He's looking good. He should begin his rehab soon with Durham, but he's on the 60-day and he can't come back until May 29th. So they're going to really take their time, even though, it's not super necessary because he just has to get stretched out to like 1 to 2 innings. But now that Rasmussen is down, maybe they do decide to stretch him out 3, maybe 4. He did a little bit of I think he had a couple 3-inning appearances last year, so that could be interesting. And this, stint on the IL would be a pretty good opportunity to stretch him out a bit. So, Glasnow, like we said, he didn't have any pain or soreness or anything, but he said he just felt something in his side. MRI showed everything was totally fine. So he's going to throw a bullpen this weekend and try again for a 3-inning outing. I think like Wednesday or Thursday, maybe they said. I don't remember exactly, but he's going to come back soon.
Wednesday. I think I said Wednesday.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. And like we said, Fairbanks, he's fine. He's going to come back on Tuesday, get activated. We'll probably see Chris Muller get optioned, I'm sure, because I know he has options, and Diekman and Littell don't have options, so they're probably going to be up here for a little bit.
Yeah.
Nothing new on Kittredge or Boz. Everybody's just kind of doing what they got to do. So, aside from, Clevenger and Rasmussen, like kind of going down, maybe for the whole year, everything with the guys who are currently injured is looking up.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely good news to hear that, Tyler Glasnow's setback was incredibly minor and he's going to be fine. That was a really good news, because I think if we got news that he was going to have extend that injury and the next day, I think you may have seen some Rays fans log off Twitter for good. I think I might have been with them. You might not have seen me. I might have been in mourning if we're gonna have no starting pitching at all. And I do think that the questions are going to come about do we make moves for starting pitching? I think Neander got asked about it yesterday, and he said they were going to be aggressive. So it'll be interesting to see what that means for them. And again, the comment he made was it's difficult to make trades in May, which it is, but that when the opportunity approaches, he'll be aggressive. So I'm very intrigued to see what that means, especially as there's some teams that have high end talent that were not performing to expectations. It'll be interesting to see what they do with some of their, with some of their guys that, the White Sox are kind of, a sinking ship. So could they offload some of their talent and do a rebuild? Wouldn't mind Dylan Cease or, Lucas Giolito maybe.
Yeah, that would be interesting. I feel like their owner is too hard-headed to understand that his team sucks and that they're not performing expectations. So, I mean, I've kind of liked Paul Blackburn in Oakland for a little while. So He's got some good stuff. Really
Waldichuk,
good
is that
curveball
the
that.
guy's name? Also, that's on Oakland. That he's got some good
Yeah,
stuff.
you can just go to Oakland and pick whoever you want, and you can probably get them because they traded away Sean Murphy for virtually nothing. So you can probably get, whoever you want on their roster for next to nothing
Yeah,
because they don't really have a plan over there.
that's a tough scenes. Tough scenes in Oakland. It makes me feel bad for the fans of that team because it's so clear
Yeah.
that they just have no plan and no leadership, and it makes me feel bad because I mean there's some diehard fans over there that really love that team, and it's a tough scene. I hope that eventually like the MLB steps in and says you gotta like do something here. Like we can't allow this as like a league to have a team that is this aimless. Like you gotta do like come on. Like we either need an ownership change or something. Like this is ridiculous.
Yeah, something's got to give over there for sure. But yeah, I mean that's about it. I know we've got a pretty early start time today for the game at
Mm-hmm.
105. Lots of guys on the Rays. I'm looking at it right now. Have really good numbers against Nestor Cortez, like Brandon Lau. He's 2 for 4 in his career, a double and a home run. Isak Paredes and 10 at bats. He's got a 1200 OPS. Yandy Diaz 890 OPS and 21 at bats. Margot 864 and 10. Harold 818 and 11. Mejia's got a couple good hits against him too. Randy's got a home run, so feeling pretty good against Cortez here because
Oh
I
yeah,
feel like they haven't faced a lefty starter in a little bit, unless
I think
I'm
you're right
going
about that.
crazy and
I think you're right
someone
about
in
that.
Baltimore was, but yeah.
I think they're all righties.
Yeah, so I mean, maybe no Josh Lowe today, probably no Luke Raley again, which sucks because he's kind of fun to watch. He's just a refrigerator out there, but
But again, it's really like if you go into the game and you have on your bench Josh Lowe, Jose Siri, and Luke Raley, you have some legitimate weapons that you
oh
can
yeah.
deploy late in the game. Like, I mean, it'll be very interesting to see how Kevin Cash plays that. If he ends up, if Cortez goes 5 and they get to him a little bit, and then you get late in the game and you want to be aggressive, like you have the weapons to be aggressive late in the game. So it'd be interesting to see how they play that.
Oh yeah, and the Yankees used what's his name, like Wandy Peralta or whatever.
Wandy
He's like
Peralta
their
and Ian Hamilton was the other guy. He's their other kind of like guy that they trust in the bullpen. They used both of them last night.
yeah, but I mean Peralta is the only lefty I think in their
Oh, you're
bullpen, and
right.
they used him, so he's probably um. I mean I'm sure he's available, but I'm sure they would like to avoid him
Yeah.
if possible. Looking at Cortez's stuff right now, yeah, I think lefties might not have that hard of a time. I mean, they haven't been good against him, but he's throwing his fastball like almost 70% of the time against lefties,
Mhm.
so you can kind of sit on that pitch.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't roll out a bunch of lefties, but if we see Josh Lowe, maybe it wouldn't be the worst thing ever, just because he is pretty hot and he could sit on fastballs from Cortez.
Yeah. I mean, I think it'd be. I think he should be in the lineup. I think if we, I think he might be one of the only left-handed bats in the lineup. I'd like to see him in the lineup or at least get in the game later in the game because he's just so hot. I was not really a fan of him being lifted for Margot last night. I didn't really. I like when you look at Margot, and I mean even though Josh Lowe is a lefty and obviously you right-handed bat versus a lefty is an inherently better matchup. I mean Josh Lowe has pretty good splits against left-handed pitchers too, and especially how hot he was. I kind of felt like it killed the momentum to take him out because it kind of felt like we're kind of going. Paredes gone on, and then you get to Josh Lowe, who's the red hot guy. I don't know. So I'd love to see Josh Lowe in the game again today.
Yeah, I mean, I had it earlier. I forgot where I put it. Peralta heading into that at bat or following the Brandon Lau at bat. He was what was he? Like lefties were 0 for 20 against him, I think, with 10 strikeouts this year. And then dating back to last year, it's like they're like 2 for their last like 70 something. So I kind of get it. And I understand with the not lifting Brandon Lau because there's really like you're gonna have to do some serious shuffling on the infield.
Yeah.
Probably gonna get pretty messy, and I don't. Yeah, I would have been a really bad infield defense, and that's probably
Yeah.
not what you want in the 9th inning. So
No.
I get it. I hope Brandon Lau starts today. He's got good numbers against Cortez, and his expected weighted on base average, the rolling average, is starting to climb back up now that he's hitting fly balls and taking walks. So, yeah, I mean, if Brandon Lau and JLowe are the lefties in the lineup, that wouldn't be the worst thing ever.
Yeah, and I think Brandon just needs to have a good game. I mean, it's starting to get painful. Like, I mean, and he's still hitting the ball hard and doing, I think, the right things. But like, not getting the outcomes is just like it's starting to get really painful to watch. So I'm hoping that he can start to get those outcomes again soon. Because I don't think all these people that are saying we need to trade him or get rid of him are ridiculous. But I would like to see him start to get some of those outcomes again.
Yeah, I would like it if the ball went farther. Personally,
that'd be nice.
Just hit it. I mean, there was a last thing on Brandon Lau here, but he hit a ball like this, like a lower exit velo, same launch angle as Yandy in the first game, and it went like 50 feet farther than Yandy because he gets so much backspin. Like, he's so close. He's spinning the ball. He's taking his walks now, I think, in 4 straight games. It's gonna happen. And when it does happen, the floodgates open, and we've seen that before. Like, it kind of overcompensates, but that's fine with me. Yeah. And Cortez might be a good guy to do it against because he does have a pretty good history against him.
Maybe this will be the day. I will be there no matter what.
Yeah, this will be one that I'm watching on TV because normally I don't watch the night games on TV. I'm just listening to the radio or I'm at the game. But this is, I feel like it's been a while since I've watched a game, so that'll be fun.
Yep, I'm looking.
That's all.
It's a good matchup. It's Shane McClanahan, and you're going to get hopefully a fun lineup, and I think it's going to be it's a great day to continue to pad the lead over the Yankees.
Yeah, it's a pretty big lead. So, thank you everybody for listening. Make sure you follow, like, subscribe, share, give us 5-star reviews on Spotify and Apple and Google Podcasts. I don't know if you can do it on the iHeartRadio app. I don't know if anybody uses that app, but if you do, give us a review. Make sure you follow us on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, maybe Facebook if you're into that kind of thing. And just thank you for your support and keep doing it, or else. So, raise up.
Raise up.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.